Good morning to everyone. It's a great morning. My name is Jolly Gomez, and I'm the coordinator for the Reliv Kalogris Foundation in the Philippines. For those of you who don't know where my country is, we're halfway around the world. We're that little weird-looking orange country at the farmost portion of that screen. If it's 12 noon in St. Louis, it's 1 a.m. in the Philippines. We have a beautiful country with beautiful sights. We have beautiful people, just like what you have in your country. We have beautiful cities, like what you have in your country. We have cars, gadgets, food, a lot of shopping. And we also have a lot of rich people in our country, just like what you have in your country. But we have a lot of poor people. As a matter of fact, in my country, 44% of our countrymen live on $2 a day. And sometimes it's a really difficult thing to understand how in such a great world of ours where we have such abundance, so many people have very, very little. And sometimes you wonder, whatever happened to our beautiful planet to make us reach a point like that? Well, thank God we have the Reliv Kalogris Foundation. People talk about nourishing our world with Reliv. We have a company today that really walks the talk and doesn't just talk about it. When I started with Reliv about 12 years ago, and Bob and Sandy Montgomery came over to the Philippines, this picture was taken 10 years ago. The first thing that they did was they asked to go to Smoky Mountain and visit one of our feeding centers. So that's Bob and Sandy 10 years ago, and the support that they've given to this foundation has never ceased. People will ask, what do we do then in a feeding center? What is a feeding center? What a feeding center is it's actually just a home, an area in the community where we find a volunteer who's willing to work with the kids every day, identify 40 malnourished kids, get them into a program, and give them nothing but Reliv Now for Kids, the same product that you give your own children, on a feeding program that is centered around the community, and that's done every day. We have feeding centers, usually around the depressed areas, around garbage dumps, sometimes in schools or community centers, and you see there a mother preparing a little batch for kids to take daily. Many of our feeding programs are headed by Reliv distributors who help out in identifying areas where people need it most. You know, the funny thing is that we talk about taking 2 shakes a day. What we have in our feeding program is a lot less. Because we want to stretch what we share with people, we actually feed 1 can of product for 40 kids every day. So that's how we spread it out. It's quite diluted, but it still works. Here's a picture of what the ingenious ways that they do is they mix a can of Now for Kids chocolate with a bowl of rice, and that's what the kids eat for breakfast. We started with buying fancy cups, Reliv cups, and the fancy measuring spoons and everything else, but somehow this doesn't work. Kids will always manage to work with whatever they have. So they improvise cups from plastic bags, from little soup receptacles, and even empty cans of Reliv. That's what they used to drink. We put the products in a pail, 1 pail, dump in a can of Now, mix it, and that's it. That's how simple our feeding programs are, but we do it every day. So 1 can of Now for 40 kids every day. So you wonder, you know, we talk about taking these shakes twice a day and a full scoop, and we're giving 40 kids a day a very diluted portion. does the product still work? Well, let me show you what happens. And this is just these are some of many, many stories that I see every day. These are twins, Mark and Ivan, 11 months old, severely malnourished. They weighed 1.7 kilograms when we found them. That's about 4 pounds, 4 or 5 pounds. We got them on the product. A month later, they doubled in their weight. And that's them right now. Huh? Yeah. Carl came from a family of 8. The parents were very, very poor. They couldn't afford their kids. 2 of his brothers died from malnutrition, and we found him in a severe stage of malnutrition. A 5-year-old boy who weighed 8 pounds, distended. And because it was a severe case, we fed him 3 times a day, the same diluted portion that we gave. A month later, that's Carl. Yeah. Rosemary was a little 2-year-old girl that we found in the garbage dump in Cavite. She weighed almost 2 or 3 pounds. It was just unbelievable, like as light as a feather. 19 days later, that's Rosemary. This is only on 1/40th of a serving of what you take every day. It's unbelievable. And there's so many more. I mean, Jansen is a boy in down south who, when he was 2 years old, he had a high fever, and then he developed cerebral palsy, and he could no longer talk, and he couldn't hold his head up high. And we got him on the product, and a couple of months later, this took a little bit longer, but a couple of months later, he could stand erect, he could hold, and he could say in Tagalog, he said milk. Okay, he could say milk in Tagalog, so that's really cool. Yeah. There's a lot, when malnutrition comes to people, the number one thing that it manifests is in the skin. So you have a lot of cases like this where kids just have uncontrollable rashes that are itchy, that just overwhelm them, that they can't sleep at night and they constantly cry. And I don't know what Dr. Carl did, but he must have put some magic in it, because afterwards you see these results and you see them over and over again. The rashes disappear. Little girls that are taunted by their kids because of what they have, without any other medication, just become so much better. Thomas is a young boy. He was 5 years old, and he started losing his hair. And when the doctors tried to figure out why he was losing his hair, they said, "You're losing your hair because of stress." A 5-year-old boy had stress because he was stressed out that his parents couldn't support him and feed him every day. We found him, and after a few months on the product, getting better, his hair started to grow, and it grew some more. And that's Thomas today. Isn't that cool? Huh? Yeah. So I think, Ericville, you have some hope. JC is a little kid, and this is an interesting case, because his infection was not in his skin but in his eyes. And he had a burning sensation in his eyes. Whenever he would blink and blink, his eyes would hurt, and it infected the nasal passage of his face. And the doctors were giving him eye drops, but the eye drops were just too expensive, so the parents just said they just gave up. But we didn't give up on him, and that's JC now. Yeah. I had to cut the slides. There were just too many. I'm sorry. And this is the last one. Stephanie, a young girl down south in Sorsogon. Again, very, very common for malnutrition. You see severe skin lesions and skin irritation, and this is her right now. When you talk to people about whether these products work, I'll tell you now, they work. Even at tiny doses, they work. And thank you, Dr. Carl. Great job. Huh? Yeah. Most of the places that we visit are really far away. They're far from the cities, unlike what you saw in the video earlier. We have to walk through rice paddies and go cross rivers and just find communities that need it most. We drive through the rain and we go as far as we can to get that product that comes all the way from the United States, halfway around the world, to feed a little town up in the mountains and make a difference in their lives. But you know, the feeding program doesn't end there. There's a lot more that we do. Through the years, we've been able to, because of the donations that we get from events like this today, we've been able to donate materials for classrooms and for health centers. We've been able to help in the education of some kids in schools. We've built wellness centers and communities. This is a community up in the mountains, and we built that home for them so that the tribes could have a place to take their Reliv and to do their whatever they wanted to do. We even built a beautiful nursery school in Cavite that would help teach the kids and make a difference in their lives. So it's not just feeding that we're doing so much more. And we also built a baseball field for kids in Smoky Mountain, and I think Sean Bergeron hit a home run in that field. But sometimes you wonder, you know, we've been doing this for 10 years and we've been feeding so many kids, but does it really make a difference? Let me tell you a story about a girl. Her name is Lovely Joy, and she started in our feeding program 10 years ago, and her parents wanted her to continue, and so they talked to me and they volunteered to become volunteers for the program. And in exchange, they asked me to take care of her. And so through the years, in the past 10 years, we've helped her out in school with school materials. We've helped her go through high school. And today, she's a college graduate, about to graduate college in fine arts in the Philippines. Yeah. You talk about wanting to make a difference. Sometimes it just takes one kid, one person in this world, in your life, to make that big difference, and it can be done. You're going to see a lot of faces in this picture. You know, all the faces that you're going to see are just some samples of many, many, many kids that we've fed. This is not even a fraction of all the kids that we've fed throughout the years. One of these kids could be your Lovely Joy. One of these kids can be that person that you can make a difference with. You know, all it takes is one can, which is at a discounted price for a distributor, what, $20? That's how much my hot dog and soft drink, etc., cost when I watched the Cardinals game the other day. And if you can forego with that for a while, you can really make a big difference in someone's life. If you can do it on a monthly basis, you have 1,000 people in this room, that's 1,000 cans, that's 40,000 kids. We can feed 40,000 kids today just with a little donation with what you can do. Isn't that just amazing in what we can do? And you know, we look at all these faces, you know, we haven't repeated a single face in this entire presentation. It just goes to show you the enormity of the task at hand. But we feed the children because the children hold the future of our world. In their hands lies our future. And in our hands, we have the opportunity to make that difference, to nourish the world. There's only one word that I think about when I see the things that we do in the Kalogris Foundation. Gratitude is one, but victory is another. So for all of you who continue to support this program, I congratulate you and I thank you for scoring a victory for mankind. Thank you.